Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Gita Marie and today is a DIY kind of vlog. I have several projects that I need finishing and also I'm starting out something. I've always had hobbies, I've always loved being creative, but even more so over the past few months, I have really focused on getting that creativity time in my daily schedule. It does wonders for my mental health. And I just feel good when I create something and use my creative outlet for de-stressing purposes. Anyway, so that's what this video is going to be about. But of course, reduced consumption still plays a huge role, even in my hobbies and creative outlets. So we're gonna talk about that as well. But before we do any of that, this video is sponsored. This video is sponsored by Skillshare, and you might know Skillshare. I have used them and talked about them for years. It's a huge community of passionate people and you can learn basically everything on there. Like courses on photography, graphic design, music, cooking, business strategy, and of course, the arts, and everything else in between. And one thing that I have used Skillshare for especially is tips and tricks and techniques for my creative outlets. For instance, this course about Linocut, and especially so getting a lot of like the beginner stuff down. This is insanely useful and you can find this for basically every other hobby. And if you want to learn something new and see where that takes you, you can also use the learning paths. The first 500 people that use the link in my description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Thank you so much for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get on with the projects. I might as well come out and say it. My day has been so boring. I have literally just rotted in my couch. I have done at best 5% of the work that I wanted to do, but I have a second day hangover. Absolutely not. We were at my boyfriend's PhD and birthday party on Saturday. It's Monday today and I still feel not great. But now I'm meeting up with some friends for a Linocut evening and I am so excited. I have been doing Linocut for the longest time, but it's usually something I do by myself to unwind. I recently did 2 pieces. One of them I have gifted away to friends and family and I can't wait to do more. I'll show you the ones that I've already done. Okay, 1 second. So there we go. This is one of the pieces that I recently did. It's a martini glass with olives. And I have made 3 prints of this, given it to my friends and family. Maybe I have one of them left. Oh yeah, I have the worst one of them, but I still really like it. And one that I haven't printed yet at all is this. And if the YouTube policy is in doubt, this is an onion. Of course it is. It's gonna go in my bathroom, so it's gonna go with the theme. So I don't know what to make this evening, but I'm very excited to find out. Let's go! While I wait for my bagel in the oven, I want to show you this because once again I was a little raccoon person and I found something by the dumpster. This is just a vase. I think it's an IKEA vase, just pure glass. And it was sitting outside the dumpsters this weekend. So obviously I brought it back home. We're gonna clean it and we're gonna use it for stuff. Maybe for arts and crafts supplies. You could also use it for a huge bowl of punch. Pasta. Don't put pasta in the vase, G. Okay, but a huge bowl of like a nice summer drink could be really fun and then we could like have a little ladle in it. Either way, it's way too good to be thrown away, so now we're gonna wash it. I have a love-hate relationship with glass because while glass is a really amazing recyclable and reusable material, it's also very impactful to produce in the first place and actually also quite impactful to recycle. Not as impactful as making it from new, but I digress. Glass is made from sand basically and different types of minerals, so it's not an infinite resource that we have, which is why it's so important that we utilize it in the best possible way. I also have an impact video about glass if you're interested in learning more about the production, the disposal, the recycling parts of it. Anyway, whenever I see glass, especially perfect glass like this, I need to do something with. That's also why I love to use glass jars in my house because reusing it is much better, which isn't exactly rocket science. We still need to say it. Anyway, if you ever find glass in the dumpster, please pick it up and clean it. Now I have this massive tub or vase. What should we do with it? Let me know in the comments down below if you have any good suggestions as to how I can use this. So I had so much fun at the Linocut workshop evening last night and we just had a crafty evening. It was honestly amazing. We had so much fun exchanging ideas, and this is what I came up with. It's a poppy flower with an eye inside. I really like this. Honestly, one of the bigger pieces that I've done this way. So typically when I do lino, I draw the design and then I cut out the design. But I did the opposite here, where I drew the design and then the design is the only parts of the lino that's going to be in color. So we're basically reversing it. But I thought for this piece specifically, I think this would just be way more impactful. So I'm gonna see what it looks like now. We have some paper, we have the lino. I also have a frame I think would work really well for this down the line. But now, first of all, I am so scared. I am terrified that I didn't cut it deep enough, so it's not gonna look nice. So let's just do it and see what happens. I still have my heirloom paint. We're gonna use that. And we're gonna do it black, I think. Okay, I am always so excited to use the tools. I love how old they are, because usually if you buy the tools now, they will be plastic. But these are stainless steel and wood, which I think is just awesome. I am on the floor, but we are going to prevail. This is just a designated plate for Linocut. At this point, I use it to roll out my paint on. It's pretty stained and I think it's permanent. So now this is what it does. The most important thing when it comes to the specific paint I have found is that you can definitely add too much paint. Shall we see? We might have to give it another go, but for the time being, I am very excited to see what this looks. So, I am excited about this. I think this is bloody amazing. So, honestly, why does it feel a little bit like an old sketch or an old illustration in an anatomy book a little bit? So we're gonna try it again, but this time I'm going to place the lino on the floor, and then we'll just add a lot of pressure. See what happens. And by floor, you know, I just mean absolute foolproof method here. Perfect. I was also thinking you can do like a background watercolor with like a nice red paint to sort of illustrate the poppy nature of the flower more. That could also be really cool to do. But for the time being, this first try was really great. Okay, my bagel is out of the oven, so we're gonna have lunch. Let's touch base on what this is more specifically. I have talked about it in the past as well, but you know, I'm very excited about it. I just traced out a small spider-esque filler. But when I first started lino, I actually did so because I inherited a lot of arts and crafts supplies from a friend of the family. And now every time I use a lot of these materials, I both have paints, papers, all kinds of supplies, as well as tools. And whenever I use them, I think of her. But it also got me thinking that you don't necessarily need to go out and buy tools when you start a new hobby, or like you very rarely do, as a matter of fact. You can find so much of this stuff on Facebook Marketplace and on secondhand platforms if you want to give it a go. I have since then also acquired several things secondhand because people buy tons of stuff for hobbies, and when they declutter a while later, they don't really use the stuff anymore, it goes out. So for instance, this thing, which is just like a little plate that just holds everything in place. Absolute game changer on my end. Now I don't cut my fingers often, which is really nice. But lino specifically, now I am a sucker and a nerd for a good deep dive into a certain material. So obviously I looked into lino and the impact of lino or linoleum, because that's in and of itself quite interesting. And especially in this situation, because when you do lino cut, you end up with tons of small linoleum scrapings. So I was curious about, well, what is the impact of that and how do I dispose of it? All these kinds of things. So from what I can gather, you can do lino cut in a few different ways. You can use natural linoleum, which is made from linseed oil, from limestone. There are a couple of different minerals in there. The main ingredients is linseed oil. Then there's barley on the back. It is a plastic-free material, and it's been used in old flooring for a while. It was invented in the 1800s and we've used it for a while. Now, over time, because of production and upscaling and more people wanting this material, it being more in demand, we started making synthetic alternatives that's made from vinyl, other kinds of fossil fuel derived materials. And when you do Linocut, you can also find a synthetic counterpart to this, which I still do believe is a bit cheaper, but then you'll end up with tons of these plastic scrapings everywhere, which are really hard to contain and ultimately will degenerate to microplastic. Now, zero waste is not only about, plastic waste, it's about all kinds of waste. So if you're doing Linocut, using the actual linoleum is definitely better than using plastic or synthetic counterparts. You could also argue that it would be better to not do Linocut at all. But honestly, I feel like that is such a non-argument. Instead, it's not about refusing to do things, especially like ways of making art that's existed for literally hundreds of years, because Linocut came from wood cutting, which is also quite old. I don't think the idea here is not that we shouldn't do these things, but it's about finding better ways of doing them and being more intentional and designing the processes so that there is as little waste product from it as possible. The whole idea of then not doing it at all, or like just completely giving up on it, I don't think is a solution. At least it's not a viable solution. As an environmentalist, you do that with so many things that when it comes to the few things that bring you joy, I'm just not willing to do that. So here we are, making Linocut. I'm gonna do a little spider. I'm gonna see if this works. I've become very ambitious in terms of how much detail I think I can get into these prints. But that's a little bit about the material, if you were curious about it. Bagel, chili hummus, vegan cheese, cucumber, and a Beyond chicken patty. Okay. I found the Beyond chicken patty, which is like a vegan chicken substitute, at the clearance section yesterday at the grocery store. So I thought, might as well try it. I haven't tried it before, so. I also have another project that I really want to share with you guys because it's been long underway. Last thing I want to do. A few months ago, I was at the beach on a Danish island and I found this piece of driftwood and I just couldn't let it go. So I brought it back home and I want to do something with it. It's been drying in a shed for a while. So I think it's completely dry now. Okay, look at this. I don't know why I'm like this, but I just need to pick up stuff once in a while. And I was just thinking that this could be an amazing table, an amazing shelf. I don't know what to do with it currently, but I love the way it looks. I think it's so nice. At some point I need to stop just bringing random things back into my flat, but that day is not today. However, there is a nail in it and I didn't actually see that, but right here. Yeah, so we need to take that out. Need to figure out what we do there. Let's hope I just don't damage the wood too much if I try to knock this one out. My main idea was to use this sort of on my bed as a table for my drinks, my laptop, and then I could rest it on this. But I can't get the nail out and I keep poking myself on it, which I think is not amazing. So right now I have a coward's solution. I'll need to get some sandpaper to sand this down and then I need to remove the nail somehow. But for the time being, here's another idea. So I'll put it in my window for now with some of my window decor on top. I really love what this is doing to this area as well, but you know, it's not ideal, but I do like it. I do love how driftwood looks though. I could just live in a vacation home where everything is made from this. And let's just assume that all the termites are out. I realized I completely forgot to show you what the end result ended up looking like. I got the lino in a frame. Right now it's in my kitchen and I absolutely love the way it looks. The frame is secondhand and ideally I would actually have liked a bigger frame with more space on each side of the motif. But this is what we'll be dealing with for now. Then I can keep my eyes open in thrift stores in the future to see if I can find a better match. And that's gonna be it for this video, but I will be back with a part 2 where we're gonna sand this babe down. We're gonna see what it's all about. Perhaps we'll make it into a shelf, like a floating shelf on a white wall. That could be really, really nice. Anyway, does this have anything to do with sustainability? Well, absolutely it does, because using materials in imaginative ways, in creative ways, seeing the opportunities and the possibilities in materials rather than just sticking to products that are specifically manufactured to fulfill a certain purpose. But materials can be anything. Don't quote me on that, that is ripe for misinterpretation. But one of the things that I really love about this lifestyle, and the reason why I'm still doing it, is because it gives me immense joy and fulfillment, finding new and unique ways of making the space around me feel like my own. I think this is so much fun, and more fun than going out into a store and buying something could ever be. And that's definitely a big part of my sustainability journey. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys next time. Take really good care of yourselves. Until then, bye. Thank you so much for watching this video, and also a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys help me create green, zero-waste content, and I love you guys. You can find the links to my social media accounts down below and the link to my Patreon on this screen. Bye!